Welcome to the vlog. Today is a Friday and definitely previous vlog after the one I did with my wife ended on not the happiest note. That month wasn't going great. I ran pretty bad on that one just with my bluffs. And yeah, good news is things gone way better. I ended decent that month, having a few big wins at the end of the month, and this month's going great. I already have over what I hope or expect for the month, and it's just the 18th. So things are going really good, and as well some income from other sources. That's always nice. I got a contract with Coin Poker this month. That's the first time I ever worked with them, so I'm really excited. Hopefully it becomes a long-term thing. That's my goal. So far, every time I have worked with poker sites, it's just individual contracts for X amount of videos or streams. So hopefully they like what I make from, and I could finally get something long-term to have more consistent income. But anyways, today is a Friday. I think this vlog will be longer as I just got here the time I usually do. So you're gonna see more what my usual sessions are. It's gonna be like between 7 and 6 hours, sometimes 8, but not that often. I came a little later. I'm starting to study the first hour before coming here to at least get an hour in a day, and then I have my Sundays that I study. I have like 6-7 hours to study, and sometimes Thursdays depending how I feel. Yesterday I didn't. That was Thursday. I was just exhausted with the kids. Anyways, let's head in there. It's a Friday, so hopefully we just play 2-5, maybe a little bit of 1-3 until it opens, and that is it. So let's get in there and start playing. All right, let's play some poker today. You guys are going to really see what my sessions usually are, because I'm not going to play shorter for the vlog. It's going to be what the usual is, about 7 hours of playing cards. So hopefully I get some action. You don't just see me folding nonstop. And the great news is that right when I get there, a 2-5 is opening. That is the dream, because yep, I get my favorite seat. That's number 7. And because it's a new game, 2-5 first hand is going to be a bomb pot. I've got Queen 7 8 8 first board 4 5 9. So I got a gut shot and a flush draw, but a pretty shitty one. Even if I hit it, I'm not gonna be liking it in the bomb pots. And second board 7 King Jack. So bottom pair, definitely not the strongest hand, but when I check, it checks around. Turn is a 10 and a 6. So now I got 2 flush draws. At least the other one is the third nut flush draw. I got the open-ended straight draw. So when under the gun, just bets $15. That's absolutely tiny. Under the 1 calls, of course, I'm calling. Low jack calls, hijack calls, button calls, small blind calls. Rivers, pretty good. It's a 7 of clubs, so I have a flush and a decent one, the third nut flush draw. Another board is another 7. So third nut flush and trips, definitely not that bad at all. But under than 1 bets pot, $250. So it's definitely a spot that I'm really not loving, because of course, 1 board I'm not good. This player's pretty tight, so he's potting. He has the nuts on 1 board, but it's hard for me to lose both boards against him. I'm guessing most likely he'll have the nut flush, but I got trips on the other and I'll be winning that one. The problem is I got a bunch of players left to talk after me. But at the end of the day, more and more I thought about it. The player just bet $15 on the turn, so everyone could be super wide and weak. So with that in mind, I do flick in a call, just hoping everyone else does fold, and that is what happens, thankfully. And we do end up chopping it up since he had the ace and king of clubs. So my flush is no good, but my trips is. And with that, we chop the first bomb pot. Let's move on to regular no limit hold'em. 10-4 off. Now we got ace 9 suited and under than 1. Straddle is going on. I make it $30 and everybody folds. 6-4 off, 10-9 off, King 8 off, Queen Jack off. Now in the cutoff, pocket 9s. Low Jack makes it $15. High Jack calls. And in the cutoff, good enough to 3 bet, especially with the caller in between. And we get 60, and only the High Jack calls. Flop. Ace, Queen, Jack. So definitely interesting board. Thankfully I have the 9 of diamonds. When it checks to me, in this spot, I'm just put out a small C bet. I 3-up pre-flop. This is definitely a good board for me. I could have plenty of the flushes, sets, 2 pairs, straights, and like that, I could see on the turn, I could very likely just turn my 9s into a bluff depending what happens. So that is the plan. I make it $30, but don't have to think too much about it since he does just let it go. 4 deuce suited, 8-3 suited, 9-5 off, 7-3 off, 10-3. Down to big blind with pocket 5s, under than 2 limps, small blind calls. Let's see a flop. I check. Flop. 3, 6, 7. So a gut shot, but under than 2 bets $15. Yeah, it's just $15. It's pot and a half, and I don't think my fives are good. Maybe because I have extra 2 outs with the 5 to hit a set, but it got shot, pot and a half. Yeah, whatever. I just let it go. Small blinds, bit of pocket pair. Pocket eights under the gun, under the one limps. So let's raise this one. I make it $30 and only under the one calls. Flop, 10, queen, 7. And yeah, 2 overcards to my pocket eights. And this is out of position. I check range, so that is what I do. He checks back. Turn is an ace. Definitely not the best. He could have plenty of aces. People love to play ace X. So I check. He checks back. River is a 4. Happy to get the showdown when I check. Now I bet $50 that I was really surprised, honestly. I really don't know what that 4 would change that now. He goes from checking to get the showdown to almost betting pot. Apart from pocket 4 or ace 4, if you didn't bet that on the turn. So altogether, I just didn't think this player was going to be bluffing. So I do let it go. And indeed, he had one of those. He had ace 4. That will be good, was good on the turn, and definitely on the river. He will take it down, 10-6 off, 9-7 off, and now it's time for another bomb pot, and get ready. There's a good amount of bomb pots in this session that we get involved with. Now we got Jack, 9, 7, Jack. First board, Queen, Queen, 9, so it's something to pair, but other board, 6, Jack, 10, we've got top set, the nuts. And it checks to me, pot is $135. Usually people just pot it. Sometimes I mix up, just spend a little smaller since I think people may call too wide. They call too wide pots, so maybe I should just do that. But anyways, in a moment, I do make it $100 and I get the button and under than one to call. So turn is very nice. It's a 9. So now I have trips. Still losing against a queen though. So most likely I don't think I'm good on the other board. And the other card is an 8. That does bring in a straights, but 2 queens are on the other board and 3 9s since I have 1 and there's 2 on the board. So pretty unlikely that someone has a straight, but this is PLO. So definitely can be the case. And now under 1 leads all in for $285 on to me. And the player after me has a little more behind, not that much, about 500. So maybe I should just rip it here. In a moment, what I was thinking, if the other player has a queen as well or a worse set than mine, I want to keep it in. And like that, I could chop a bomb pot 3 ways. That's definitely a good amount more money. So I do flick in a call, but the other player does fold. River is a 7 and a deuce. He shows a queen, so indeed he had trips. And I thought I was chopping until the dealer announces, lets me know that I have a full house with my 9-7. I runnered a full house on a queen, queen, 9. So queen is not good. And my set is good on the other board. So I will scoop this 1K bomb pot. Let's go. And just like that, we're up over $700. So definitely an amazing way to get the session going. And very next hand, we're going to keep on the action because I got ace-jack off in the hijack, under than 1, under than 2 limps, so I'm going to get $30. Under 1 calls, now under than 2, rips it all in for $190 on to me. And usually I would be pretty cautious with limp jams or 3-bets, but I had just seen this player 3-bet pre-flop in a pretty tight configuration with pocket 6s and rip it all in blind. So, him being a short stack and he lost that pot, I think he'd just be going crazy. And I got a call 160. There's a good amount of dead money. And I was considering if I should just rip it myself. But I'm about 1,000 deep with the other player. And he just limped. If I call here, I think he's going to be folding a lot anyways. No need to risk my stack in case, some players limp. And just call with strong hands like ace king, ace queen. You never know. So, no need to risk it. I do call, but he calls as well, so I was definitely not expecting that. Let's go to a flop that is king, king, ace. So feeling pretty good, especially when the other player checks. And this was definitely an interesting spot because there's a player all in. So we're going to have to get the showdown anyways. And him calling that all in after limping, I was kind of thinking this was a spot that or I'm way ahead or I'm just a good chunk behind. There's a bunch of pocket pairs that are almost dead just for 2 outs. And he could definitely have king, maybe king, jack, king, queen suited. Maybe he just has the absolute nuts with ace king. People do weird stuff with ace king. They just like to see a flop. And yeah, so I'm looking at pot control because, again, or I'm way ahead or way behind. And we don't really need protection on his flop. So I do check back. Turn is a 4. He checks. And this was kind of the close spot. I wasn't sure. maybe now for sure I could be betting. But again, he just has about pot behind. So I do think he could be slow playing hands because he could easily get it all in by the river. If I bet small and he just rips it. So a spot that I wasn't sure if I was going to get called by worse because I don't know if he's calling this massive raise jam pre-flop with a worse ace. I mean, maybe ace 10 suited. I don't know. You never know with suited aces. So could be. So maybe. But in the moment, again, I check back. River is a 5. And now, after checking twice, he rips it all in for $600. What in the world? Again, I did think there was a chance that he was slow playing a hand because he just has pot behind. So just hoping I'd bet my ace and like he could check rip it. And it just seemed like a spot that's never a bluff because why would he be doing this? He's got to get the showdown with the other player. So a bluff makes no sense because it just can't get through. There's a play all in. So I do let it go. And he has the most annoying hand you could imagine. Pocket fives. Yeah. I didn't need much protection. But again, pocket pairs do have 2 outs and he hit it on the river. So again, I still am pretty okay with my line. Maybe a small bet on the turn. Let's not be results oriented. But it definitely stings because that pot was about $600 and the other player just mucks. But anyways, we're still doing really good. Let's move on. 8 deuce off, 5 deuce off, 10 8 off. Down a small blind, 9 7 suited. 2 limpers. I call. Big blind older gentleman makes it $30. So the button calls. And yeah, being stuck in the middle with a tighter player that raises doesn't seem like the best spot. So I do just let it go. 10 7 suited, 10 deuce off, 10 4 off. Now in the low jack with ace 10 off. $15 it is. Cut off button. Big blind call. Flop is insane. Jack, king, queen. We've got the nuts. Let's go. And yeah, out of position a few players. I'm going to check. And of course, this spot, I will check raise. But sadly, when it checks around, turn is a 9. So any 10 is a straight. So when it checks to me, there's one of the spots. I'm going to be very, let's just say, exploitative. That's the right way of saying it, right? I'm just going to bet as big as I think a 10 is going to call. Maybe I could even go bigger than this, but I didn't think a 10 was going to fold. So let's just make it big. I make it $80, but seems like no one has a straight since everyone just lets it go. So definitely very bittersweet on sets of action flops. So multi-way, no one having anything. But anyways, still really nice flopping the nuts. Let's move on. 5 deuce off, 9 6 off, 6 3 suited in the big blind. We chop it up. Time for another bomb pot. I got 10 9 8 queen. I do kind of hit since I got 2 pair on one board, but it is monotone, and the other one I just have top pair. So when an older gentleman pots it, which is a little bit behind, yeah, I just let it go. 5 4 suited in the small blind button. We got a premium ace queen suited. Straddle is going on, so I get $30. I get a small blind and big blind to call. Flop 10 4 3. So in position, the hand of spades. Backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, 2 overcards. I think it's good enough to bet. A lot of good turns. So I make it $30 and just a small blind calls. Turn is a 5. Checks to me. And yeah, he called next to act on this turn. Just seems pretty shitty. Sure, maybe I could just go with the hungry horse boot camp strategy and just keep on betting. But in the moment, I decided to check back. River is a queen though. That's definitely really nice. And he bets now $80. So definitely not loving it because this player, I don't think he's bluffing, but maybe a betting with worse. Maybe he riveted queen himself and just giving himself his price. And yeah, $80 pots, good chunk bigger than that. So I do call. And we are no good against pocket threes. So what seemed like a good river definitely was not. And let's just move on to the next hand since we're going to play as well. Ace 10 off and a cutoff. Hijack makes it $15. And this player, he has tails with his sizes, and $15 is usually the bottom of his range. Let's 3-bet him. I make it 50. And the big blind goes into the tank and finally calls. And so does the hijack. So flop, deuce 9 8 checks to me. And usually, yeah, putting out a c-bet and a 3-bet pop with the big blind that cold calls my 3-bet. And he's usually on the tighter side and tanking. Seemed like a hand that maybe he's considered 4-betting. So definitely could be pocket pairs above the 9. So yeah, not sure where I'm at. I do check back. Turn is a 6. Checks to me. I check back. River's a 9. Checks to me. Let's get the showdown. I check. And our ace high is good because the big blind has king queen suited, hijack has king queen off, so our ace high will take it down. Let's go. Moving on to queen 5 off, 5 deuce suited, 5-3 suited. Now in the cutoff, we buy in because we took a little break and we got pocket threes, low jack limps. I make it $20 and big blind low jack calls. Flop king 4-6, checks to me, multi-way. I decide to check back. Turn is a king, checks into me. I check. River is a 10. Not a big blind bets $35. Folds to me, and yeah, if it was a river that was below a 6, I believe this a lot more, but I think he's mostly betting a king on turn, and I don't think he's value betting a 6 or a 4, so maybe he's doing this with a 10. But this player, I think I've seen him being pretty action before, and I think he watches the vlog, so shout out to him, but I'm not believing it. I flick in the call. He says he has a natural that I think it's a baccarat term, the table games in a casino. Anyway, sounds like it's not a strong hand though, so I show, and indeed he mucks, so a pocket threes are good. Let's go. Moving on to 10-3 off, 5-4 off, queen 6 suited, pocket deuces, not an early position, king 5 off in a big blind, another bomb pot, but 5-9, jack 8 does not connect to the board, so when someone bets, I let it go. 6-4 off, queen 4 suited, king 9 off, jack 3 off, ace 6 off, and now we got a pretty one. Pocket 10s under than 1 under the limb, so I make it $20. You get the button, small blind, big blind, under gun to call. Flop, decent, 4-5 deuce, so no overcard to our pocket pair. Not a big blind, very, very tight player, leads for $20 that I was very surprised, honestly. We play all the time together, and I almost never see him leading, especially for such a small size. And I do think my pocket tens are good here most of the time, but I do want to watch out because, again, he's very tight, super multi-way, so I do think he's probably doing this with value. I don't see him often do this with a flush draw. But so multi-way, I'm not going to call such a small bet. I make it $70. Folds to him, and he does call. Turn is a 4. And now I definitely get a live tell. He kind of jumps in his seat. So yeah, when he checks to me, I'm going to go with this read and check back. River is very bad. It's a 3 of clubs. So yep. Any 6 is a straight. Any ace is a straight. And a flush comes in. So when he checks back, it's a spot. Again, he's tight. I don't think I'm going to get value from worse. And I had that tail on the turn, so I do check back. And indeed, he has a 4 with a 7. So, yeah, he led the flop with middle pair and a flush draw and some backdoor straight draws. Hit trips on the turn, flush on the river. That will be better than a pocket pair, so he will take it down. Queen 8 off, jack 9 off, and the blinds, we chop it up. 10-5 off, now on the button with pocket 8s. Under then makes it $15. Under the 1 calls, low jack calls. And yeah, it's early position. I'd just call. Small blind, big blind calls. Flop is beautiful. Ace, jack, 8. Let's go. Bottom set, super multi-way on a pretty dry board. Checks to me, and let's bet. I make it $50. Just under the gun and low jack calls. Turn is beautiful. It's a 3 that changes nothing. And the way played, let's keep on going for value. Downside now when I bet, it's going to look super strong, honestly. But let's try to get value. Hopefully they still call if they have an ace. I make it $180, but sadly, no more value to get since they both just let it go. 8-7 off. Now, once again, pocket 10s in the hijack under the 2 limps. I make it $20. Big blind calls under the 2 calls. Flop. 6-8-8 checks to me. Sure, could have 8s, but plenty of worse hands I will call, and we need protection. I make it $25, and they fold. Jack 10 off, 4 deuce off, jack 6 suited. Time for another bomb pot. Got a pretty-ish hand. King, ace, 3, 9, but we miss. So when someone bets, we let it go. 10 deuce off, 6 deuce suited, 10-4 off, queen 7 off, 10 deuce off, and once again, pocket 10s in a hijack. I make it $15. Now the big blind makes it 80. Same player that was trying to bluff and had pocket 3s, and he's been going pretty insane. I think he ripped it a couple times blind, so going, yeah. I was a little more worried, honestly, that he made it 80 instead of ripping it all in. But again, he's been going super action. And he just has $355 behind. So, yeah, I don't want to call here because I think it'd be pretty wide. Let's just get all in now. And I think my pocket tens are going pretty good against his range. I rip it all in. He does call. We decided to run it twice. First board, queen, ace, 3. Turn is a king. River is a 10. So it may be good, but he said that's his board. So ask him, you got jacks. Indeed, he has pocket jacks. So one of the worst possible first board since one of my outs is gone.
Second board, king, queen, ace. So once again, we have 2 outs, 2 jacks now. Turn is a 6. River is a 8. Well, pocket jacks will scoop since we do not win on any of the boards, and that takes a chunk of our profit, but still doing good. Let's move on. 10 deuce suited, 8-5 off. We took another break, so we buy in again. King 4 off and a hijack. We let it go when someone raises. Queen 5 off, Jack 4 off. Now it's time for another bomb pot. I've got 3, 9, 3, king. First board, queen, deuce, ace, so not much. Other board though, ace, 5, jack. I've got the nut flush. But yeah, not the best thing since I have nothing on other boards. So I have a draw to the nuts, but the chop. But thankfully when I check, it checks around so we don't have to pay to see a turn that is a 9 of hearts, but on the wrong board. Another one is a queen. Underdone bets now $40, so very kind of him, giving us good price to hit our nut flush. So when Underdone 1 calls, I call. Big blind calls. River is a 4 and a 7 of hearts. Let's go. We've got the nuts on one board with the nut flush, and when it's on to me, I don't want it to get checked around, and I have nothing on the board, so I'd love to just be able to scoop it. Let's pot it. He tells me it's $260, so that is what I put in the middle, and everybody does indeed fold, so let's go. We'll take this one down. Bomb pots are definitely going pretty good for us tonight. I'll get through some ugly hands. Well, I got a Discord going on, a really fun group. It's growing and growing, super active. A lot of poker players, some that are pretty good. So if you want to talk about poker, get some feedback, if you want to share hands, or have some fun, because we talk about poker, lifestyle, content, and it's super active. I'm there every day. I'll leave the link in the description, and now it's time for a premium ace king off. Holds to the cutoff and makes it $25, so 3-betting, I make it 80. Folds to the big blind, who called 4-bets to $400. Folds to me, and what a massive 4-bet. And he just has $160 behind. So, maybe if I don't know this guy, he's a younger dude, and it is cut off against button, we could be super wide. So if I knew this player, if he was like an older guy that never 4-bets, honestly, I just let my ace king off go since I'm not doing good against this range. But not knowing the player, young guy, and both of us, it's just a really wide configuration. I could be 3-betting wide, maybe he's just trying to take it down. I definitely do not think I could fold my ace king. So he just has $160 behind, so I just rip it all in. He calls, and we see the okay news when I show him my hand. He has pocket queen, so it's a flip. We decided to run it twice. First board, 8, 7, 4. Where's the ace? Turn is a 9. River is a deuce. That's why we run it twice. Let's see if we get hit it this time. Flop is 5, jack, 3. Turn is a jack. Where's all the aces? Where's all the kings? River is a 8. That is poker. And yeah, we were doing pretty amazing. I think at a high point, we were up about over $700. And now we are in the red. So definitely a swingy session. But I guess good side of this, you guys are seeing what poker can be sometimes. You just go through the swings. Sometimes some sessions are high variances like this. All we could do is focus, and all that matters is that we play our best. And I think in that spot, we just got to put it in with ace king, unless we have some read that the player is insanely tight. I think you just got to go with it. Sadly, this time does not go our way. Let's just move on. Plenty of time to go, and the game's pretty good. Let's move on to ace 9 off, 10 7 off, jack 5 off, queen 7 off. Now in a big blind with pocket sixes under the gun too, makes it $30. So definitely rude of him for giving me such a bad price to hit my set. But what are you gonna do? Button calls, I call, and we miss our set. So when he bets $100, I just let it go. 9 deuce suited, ace deuce off, another bomb pot, but this time not much. I got 5 queen 7 4, that misses the board, so I let it go. Jack 7 suited, and 9 3 off.
All right, well, halfway through the session, definitely not the best that we're in the red right now, because we had a really strong start. I think at a point we we're up 700, so definitely really swingy. And altogether, happy with how I'm playing. There's just that one hand when I had the ace jack and the guy river, the full house of the 5s. That, yeah, maybe a small bet. I still understand. I think I could be behind plenty of the time, and I didn't think I'd get value from worse. I don't think he's calling that spot with bad aces, like pocket pairs or broadways. And yeah, not always pre-flop, not working out for us. Thank God for the bomb pots. We'd be a good chunk in the hole if it wasn't for the bomb pots. And yeah, still got like 3 hours to go. A little over 3 hours. We just had a break for the buffet, so let's just get back in there, focus, and play our best.
We come back in a big blind, got ace-9 off, see a free flop, miss, and fold. Time for another bomb pot. I got 3, 3, 5, 5. First board, ace-7 deuce. So, yep, we have a flush, but the worst possible one. So that isn't nothing amazing. And other board, I got 7, jack, 6. So, bottom end of a gut shot. Thankfully, I check. It checks around. Turn is a jack and a 9. And yeah, my hand is definitely not even close to be strong enough to be betting. So I check, and good news, it checks around again. River, another 9, so great, no pair on the board, and a 8. And yeah, the worst possible flush and nothing really on the other one. My hand is definitely not strong enough to bet, so I do check. Another big blind bets $100. Low jack, cutoff calls onto me, and yeah, this is a really close spot, honestly. Maybe it should be a fold. Most of the time, just these players, I think they would have bet by now if they had a flush, and there's 2 diamonds on the other board, and it's pretty multi-way. That is $100. I don't have to be good that much of the time to chop, so I do flick in the call, and we see the amazing news that our flush is good, and it's thanks that another tighter player folded a better flush, so thankfully he let it go, and we could call, and we will chop it up. So, some good news, something coming our way. Let's move on to 10-5 off, 10-9 off, jack 4 off, queen 4 off, queen deuce off, queen 4 off, and now we're in under the gun one with 9-8 suited. Let's raise it up. I make it $15 in a hijack cutoff. I'm button call. Flop, queen 8, queen, so decent. 2 pair, 9 kicker, but yeah, so multi-way. For sure they could have queens. I check, checks around. Turn is a king, so yeah. If my 8 was good, probably not now, so multi-way. So once again, I check, checks around. River is another queen, so maybe we're good, but definitely not going to be betting since I don't think worse is going to call. Just trying to get the showdown. I check, and it checks to the button. Who bets? $50. Yeah, just didn't seem like a spot to be here calling. He could for sure be pocket controlling with a king. And yeah, I just think for the most part, my 8 isn't good, so I do let it go. Hijack did end up calling, and he had a king and a queen, so yep, he slow played the shit out of his hand and river quads, and that is definitely good. He will take it down. 6-4 suited, big blind, 10-9 off, hijack limp, small blind calls, so I check, flop, 8 deuce queen. Checks to the hijack, bets $10, and I got a gut shot, so definitely it's being this steep. I think we have a price to call to hit our for outer, so I do. It's not, it's a 8, but when I check, he checks back for is a ace. And now, I think we could get a queen to fold sometimes, since definitely looked like he wasn't loving the 8 on the turn, and now there's an overcard. So, let's bet, but I can't even pick a side, since when I start grabbing chips, he just lets it go, so that's nice. Next hand, queen 10 suited, hijack limps, button makes it $25, and small blind is button, it's good enough. I make it 105, and everybody folds. 6-4 off, now in a cutoff for the prettier one. Ace queen off, but no action since when I make it $15, everyone folds. 10-8 off, now it's time for another bomb pot. I've got 5-8 deuce 4, so not very pretty. First board, 8-8-6, so trips, not great kicker though. Another board, queen 10-3, so yeah, bomb pots, not good enough to bet, so I do check, checks around, and turn definitely makes me feel better about my hand. It's another 8. I've got quads, other board is a queen, checks to me, and now I just don't have anything on other board. I want to bet a size that I want to get a lot of people to call, so I do make it $50, and we get the hijack button and big blind to call. There is a deuce and a jack, and now I want everybody to fold because, or I bet really small trying to get a bunch to call and chop, or let's bet really big and just try to scoop. Let's go for the scooping. I pot it, and the strategy does work since everybody folds, so definitely bomb pots are really going way above average, helping us get back in the green. Moving on to queen jack suited and a low jack. I make it $15. Not a small blind. A tighter player makes it $90. on to me, and maybe if we were deep, but he is super tight, so my hand's not doing great, and he is short stacked, so it just doesn't seem like a profitable spot, so I do let it go. King deuce suited, jack 5 suited, king 7 off, king 10 off, 8 7 off, jack 5 off, jack 5 suited. Now we got pocket 8s in a hijack. Under the 1 makes it $15, and yeah, earlier position I just call, button, small blind, big blind, call, flop. Once again, 8-3 queen, we flop a set, let's go. Under the gun 1 makes it $20, and so multi-way. If I raise here, I think it looks super strong, and it's a pretty dry board, so I don't think I gotta be fast playing right away, and like that, we could keep weaker hands in and not just show the strength of our hand, so I do call, and so does the button at small blind. Turn is a king, and sadly now it checks to me, and let's just hope someone hit that king or has a flush draw. I make it $100. But once again, no action on the turn since they all let it go. Ace 10 off, 10 deuce off, 9 7 off, ace 6 off in the blinds. We chop it up. King 8 off, 8 3 off, 6 4 off. Now I got pocket deuces in the hijack. Under the 2 limps, I make it $20. You get the button, small blind, big blind, and under the 2 to call. So when the flop comes 10 5 7, so multi-way. Yeah, I'm just hoping a deuce is on the turn. I check, checks around, turn is a 6. Small blind bets $80, and I let it go. Queen 3 off, ace 9 off. Now it's time for another bomb pot that again gonna get involved in. I got queen 7 8 deuce. First board 6 jack 3, so I got a pretty bad flush draw. Other board though is queen 7 deuce. So yeah, we completely hit that board since we have 3 pair in early position. I usually check. That is what I do. Checks to the cutoff bets $100. And yeah, having top 2 and a flush on another board and bottom pair in case that deuce comes on the turn, I think it's strong enough to call, so that's what I do. And so there's a low jack and a hijack. Turn is a 10 and a 10, so not the best, not the worst. But now when it checks to the cutoff, he bets $300, and this definitely seemed like a pretty tough spot because I got a flush on that board, but it's a pretty bad one. So many callers. My flush is probably not good if it comes in. And on this board, I have 2 pair. That's not even top 2 anymore. I am blocking all of the sets, so there's only 3 combos of flop set. So mostly I'm just losing against queen 10 in the moment. I just thought I'm mostly calling the chop. Altogether, I think maybe I should just be calling here at least one more time because players, they do crazy stuff sometimes in ball ponds. But in the moment, I do let it go. And this was a frustrating one because another player calls river, I would have hit a flush. And the cutoff, that bet flop and turn with so many callers, only had pocket kings. So, yeah, this definitely got me frustrated because that would have been a pretty massive pot that would have got me up over $1,000 because I would have scooped it. But anyways, it is what it is. Spawn pots sometimes are weird because players overplay like crazy. Those kings is insane that he bet the turn, honestly, in my opinion. But anyways, let's just move on. And if you want to help me feel better, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you want to talk about hands because that definitely helps out with these videos. I want to do as much as possible in content because I enjoy doing it. But I don't make much money from YouTube. So your engagement definitely helps get more views, make more reach, and get more subscribers. So anyways, if you could show some love by doing that, I highly appreciate it. And now half an hour went by because it's time for another bomb pot that I got 7 3 5 3, and this time I flop middle set, but there's a straight on the board and I got nothing on the other one. So when someone bets $100, yeah, I just let it go, and we saved money since someone had top set, another one had a straight. So that's how crazy bomb pots are. People usually have the goods. Let's move on to jack deuce suited, 4 3 suited. Now in the big blind is 7 8 suited. Under the gun, limps, cut off limps, small blind calls, and under the gun, he's a player that loves to trap. So let's see a flop. I check. Flop 7 3 10. So second pair, backdoor straight, backdoor flush, not the worst. I check. Now under the gun, the one they said that likes to trap by limpy makes it $50. So yeah, that's over 3x pot bet. Yeah, the pot is small, so people don't think that much about it. Cutoff calls. And maybe if it folded to me, definitely. I know I'm not good here, but I got a lot of good turn cards that I could improve against overpairs, and I could turn my hand into a bluff. But with a call in between, it's just a massive size. Whatever, I just let it go. 6 3 off, down the button, ace 5 off. I make it $15, and this is a small blind calls. Flop, king 9 8. And yeah, let's just do the strategy. Just going to c-bet half pot. I make it $15 and he calls. Turn is a 7. That brings in the flush, brings in the straight. So when he leads for $40, yeah, I just let it go. king 9 off, 6-3 suited, pocket threes and low jack, $15. Everybody folds. Jack deuce suited, jack 7 off, jack 7 off. Now we got a premium. Pocket queens in the big blind. Cutoff makes it $15. Button calls, and let's 3-bet. I make it 90, and only the cutoff calls. Flop, deuce, 10, deuce. And yeah, chicken raise pots, I usually just always check range. 3-bets, it's a little different. In this spot, I do decide to check, and he checks back. Turn is a 6, and now let's go for value. If maybe now he won't believe us once we check the flop and calls us light. I make it $100, but no more action since he just folds. 6-4 off, jack 9 suited. Now in the cutoff with queen jack suited. Under the gun makes it $20. And he made it 20 before, so that got me a little suspicious, honestly. Probably still, this hand should 3-bet a fold, but in a moment, I do flick in the call, and so does the button. Flop, deuce, 10, 9. So open in a straight draw, decent. And now it checks to me, and with a player in position, I do decide to check. And one reason is this player, he always bets when it checks to him. I just think it's a strategy he has. If the players check to him in any position, he'll just bet massive. And that is what I do. I check, and indeed, he bet $75 over the size of the pot. That's even big for him. Folds to me, and actually shared the situation because I play often against this player and I know he'll always bet big for the most part when it checks him unless he has showdown value. And I shared it with the Hungry Horse people, and Mark Goon himself told me that, yeah, if you're with someone that will just always be betting massive when it checks him, you gotta do a lot of check raising. And you know, 2 overcards, open in the straight draw, I think it's good enough. So let's go for it. I make it $200. He thinks for a little bit and does call. Turn is a 3. And I definitely think he could be calling the flop wide since I gave him a pretty good price. And yeah, not check raising the flop to give up on the turn against a player that I think he's way overstabbing the flop. I make it $350. He goes into the tank. He's thinking and finally does find a fold. Let's go. I was very tempted to show him, but I play all the time against this guy. I don't want him to let him know that I'm bluffing against him in these big spots. I think usually they always think I have it, and bluffs work out a lot better when they don't know I'm bluffing these spots. So let's just muck and move on to 8-7 off, ace-10 off, jack-3 off, queen-3 suited, queen-10 off, 9-4 off, ace-8 off, jack-5 off, jack-8 off. Time for another bomb pot. 7, king, 6-6, but this one no action since we miss and let it go. Jack-3 suited, 8-3 off, jack-3 off, queen-7 off, 6-3 suited, 9-3 off, 8-deuce suited, and now we got one 8-7 suited in the button. Low jack makes it $15, and being in the button, don't mind calling. That is what I do. Flop, ace, deuce, jack, and now he checks, and maybe should just be betting here when it checks to me, but with a medium flush draw, I like checking sometimes, so when the flush comes in, I do have something, so I do check back. Turn right away is a 3 of hearts. Let's go, and now when he checks, let's try to get some value. I make it $20, and he does call. Remember, a queen of hearts, so definitely not what I was hoping for. So when he checks, maybe a small bet altogether. I thought very likely won't get called by worse, and I just show him, and he mucks. Let's keep it going. Pocket 10s in a cutoff under the 2 limb, so I make it $20, and he calls. Flop, 5-6-5, he checks, and definitely 10s is good enough to be betting here, and we need protection. I make it $20, and he calls. Turn is a 3. Sure, he could have a 5, but he could have way more flush draws, straight draws, and over pairs. So let's keep on going for value, and let's make it on the bigger side. I make it $80, basically pot, and once again, he calls. Remember, one of the worst cards. It's a king of spades, so overcard to the board, and a flush does come in. So now when he checks, yeah, seems a little too thin. I don't think I'm going to call by worse very often, so I do check back, and we should have good news since we are good against pocket 7s. Let's go. Things are definitely going the right direction. Let's try to keep it going. Jack 9 off, king 8 off, 6-9 off, 10-3 suited, king 3 off, queen jack off in the blinds. We chop it up. Time for another bomb pot. 9-6 queen jack. We miss, so we let it go. We do another bomb pot since someone missed it and everyone wanted to do it again. So bomb pot number 2. I got 5 king deuce king. First board, king queen 3. Who asked for another bomb pot? I want to give him a massive hug. We got top set. Second board, 3, 4, 10. Let's not get too excited though, because, you know, anything could happen in bomb pots. This is just a flop. But at least on the other board, I got an open-ended straight draw, so pretty great. When it checks to me, yeah, let's pot it. I'm going to get $135. And we get action under the gun, low jack, hijack, and cutoff call. So we go to a turn that is great. It's a 6, so we still have the nuts. Let's go. Other board is a jack. So at least the flush doesn't come in there, so we could still get the nuts on that one. If an ace comes and if a 6 comes, we still have a really strong hand. It checks to me. And the pots got really big. It's $675. So, I mean, maybe I should just pot it in a moment. I wanted the better size that I could still get called decently wide. I make it $450. That, I mean, is massive anyway. So maybe it should not be fancy and just pot it. But that's what I do in a moment. And again, we get action since the low jack and cutoff call. Please give me a brick. That's really hard to do in bomb pots. River is a queen. Let's go. I've got top boat and the other board is a 9. So, hey, I can't get greedy. At least I have the second nuts. I'm only losing against one combo at pocket queens. I think it's very unlikely as well because it checked to me. I think if someone had pocket queens on the flop, they would have bet most of the time. And yeah, now when it checks to me, let's just bet as big as possible because I have nothing on other boards. So I just want to try my best to scoop. You never know. Even on the other board, if someone had a set, this is a pretty bad run out because king, queen is scooping. It is a straight there. So the straight does come in and we're blocking that with the kings. So hopefully I could get a set or 2 pair to fold on the other board. And the scoop is pretty massive bomb pots. This is over $2,000. Let's go for it. I jam. And they think and finally, both players do fold. Second one sounded like just had a bunch of draws, and that gets us up over $2,000. So today was just the day of the bomb pots. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I'm pretty sure I'd be in the red, but instead we're up over 2K. So definitely what an amazing session. And while we get through some garbage, let me know what you thought about this video, if you enjoy longer format content, and if there's something that you would like me to add, as I just did adding the VPIP. I think that's fun. If there's anything you think could be cool as well, let me know in the comments. I'm always open to new ideas. I'm trying to make these videos as fun and entertaining as possible. And yeah, as I mentioned, if you want to play with me on Tuesdays, I will be playing at 6 p.m. on Clubspoker. And if you want to play on Ignition, you get a 3K welcome bonus. Those links are in the description. And that is it. Let's go. A pretty massive win for the vlog. Hope you enjoy bomb pots because that definitely was the highlights of this session. And yeah, let's just rack up, cash out, and talk a little more about the session. Let's go. What a dream session. So yeah, this month is going amazing so far. Pretty swingy, honestly, and I definitely got a little frustrated halfway through when I folded that one spot on a bomb pot. That would have been a pretty massive one as well. I think would have got me over a K at the moment. Yeah, so pretty happy with how I played. Found some bluffs too with the queen jack off against a player that just always bets massive when it checks to him. And altogether pretty good. This is going to be a lot of work for editing, so hopefully you guys enjoyed a longer video, whole session. This is usually how it is for me. On average, I play 7 hours. So let me know if you liked it, the longer like this. You prefer just the shorter ones that are like 4 or 5 hours, because definitely this is a lot more work. And at least it was action and it was entertaining. And yeah, just happy with keeping this month going. Just crazy, just a lot more calm, you know. When you have enough of a bankroll and money stored up to be okay for a little while, no matter what, it's definitely, you could play. It's easier for me to play compared to beginning of this year when I didn't know if I would have money for next month. So I'm just happy we got through that, and we're just sun running this month like crazy. And yeah, that is it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that. As usual, if you like, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you guys next time.